respond to them, to the audience. Then I will allow a 2-minute closing statement. I will proceed beginning statements in ballot order. Questions from myself and the audience will be in random order, and closing statements will be reversed ballot. Okay. Questions? So we will hear from the 3 candidates for Stark County resident circuit judge in ballot order, and we will begin with Bruce Farragut.
First, I want to thank the Stark County News, Jason Musman, and Jim Nolan for hosting this event and giving us the opportunity to present ourselves to the voters. My name is Bruce Farragut, Wyoming and 2 line fire protection districts and other local governments. But my experience is not only in representing municipalities. For a period of time, for about 10 years, I served as Stark County's public defender on a court-appointed basis. And this county have a judge who is from this county, who wants to live among the people here, and has chosen to. Like many attorneys, I wanted to be a judge, but I never thought I would have that opportunity. Judge Gordon was an excellent judge and was well respected throughout the 10th Judicial Circuit. When he announced his retirement, I was surprised. But I immediately decided that I would seek to fill his vacancy. The voters will soon have a chance to make a decision as to who is the resident circuit judge for Stark County. I'm asking the voters to vote for me. And I hope everyone turns out. I encourage you to turn out and your friends and family turn out and vote in this primary election. Thank
you. Thank you. Next, we will hear from Thomas Keith.
Good evening. I'm Tom Keith, and I too distinguish myself among the judicial candidates here tonight. And I think one of the major distinctions I have is that I have extensive experience in the courtroom. I've tried a number of cases, and excluding the 1- and 2-day trials, I have tried probably 25 or 30 large, complex trials involving multiple defendants, involving such things as white-collar fraud, internet crimes, large-scale drug conspiracies. And these cases were complex, lasted sometimes into the weeks, multiple days. Also, I've authored probably 80 appellate court briefs in my career. I've argued probably 30 of those before the appellate court. I've taught attorneys throughout the nation, across the nation, in such areas as victim rights, in such areas as Fourth Amendment search and seizures, areas on how to obtain and how to authenticate and how to admit digital evidence in a criminal trial, legal writing, and many more subject matters. I've also trained state, local, and federal law enforcement agents and prosecutors on how to investigate and prosecute internet crimes across the country. And I've been a judge for almost a year now. The other thing, that was the first or second half of my adult life. That was the last 20 years. The first half of my adult life, I was a grain and livestock farmer, and I also was an electrician. And I didn't go to college till I leave here to go to the University of Illinois till I was 37 years old. The diversity of my background seemed to be very important when the Supreme Court screened me for this position, to fill this position as a Stark County judge. You know, the reason I accepted this appointment to be the judge is really for the same reason that I left here to go to college in the first place. It's for the same reason that I was so active in church in Lafayette in West Jersey, where I was a lay speaker, youth group leader, Sunday school teacher, and other things. It's really the same reason that I became a federal prosecutor. The heart passion that I've had in my life is to be involved in a positive way in people's lives. And it's the same reason I accepted this appointment. When I was a federal prosecutor, I would screen cases as law enforcement agents would bring them in. And I would screen them this way. I would ask questions. The first question I would ask is, who is the victim? in the crime. There has to be an actual victim. The second question I would ask is what would be the impact on the community? The impact if I prosecuted it, the impact if I did not prosecute it. The community impact was of paramount importance to me. I first became aware of this child exploitation on the internet when I started investigating internet crimes. I was a little appalled by what I had seen. So I prioritized those cases where I figured that if these children were being abused the way they were on the internet in these pictures, that abuse must still be going on. So I prioritized that in my life to identify these children in these images, to locate them, and to remove them out of their abusive situation. The second thing I did was these children would go online and they were meeting people. They were not meeting, they were talking, chatting with people, falling in love with people, 10, 12, 14-year-old children. And then they would run away with someone 2 and 3 times a day. I spent one of my priorities in identifying where these children went, capturing and bringing them back. And I'm not talking about around the country. I'm talking about right here in central Illinois. I'm talking about Stark, Marshall, Putnam, Knox, Henry, Peoria, Tazewell, all the counties in central Illinois. We literally rescued dozens of these children, and I prosecuted hundreds of these men that were doing this kind, and women that were doing these kinds of things. My priority was an impact, a positive impact on people's lives, and that's why I accepted the appeal. I want to finish with this one comment. You know, I have only taken a few vows in my life, very few. I could probably count them on one hand. When I married my wife 44 years ago, I made a vow, and I kept that commitment for 44 years. 20 years ago, when I was sworn in as a federal prosecutor, I raised my hand and I swore to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, and I've kept that vow. And about a year ago, over here in Stark County, at the courthouse, I raised my hand and I took another vow. I take my vows seriously. And if you will support me in this election, then I promise that I will be a judge with integrity, I will be a judge that will be fair, I will be a judge that will be independent, and I would appreciate your support. Thank you very much.
And now we will hear from Robert H. Rennick, Jr.
My name is Robert Rennick, and I'm a candidate for Stark County Circuit Judge. Thank you to Stark County News for having this event. Thank you for everyone that braved the cold and come out here tonight. This is my 20th year practicing law in state court. This is my 20th year practicing law across the way from the Stark County Courthouse and in circuit court. Throughout my legal career, I have practiced law in nearly any type of legal matter that you can think of. In some way or another, I've done it. I continue to do that. In my practice is very broad, and I am able to practice in multiple areas, and that's really critical. Because as Judge Borden would know, who's sitting here, you got to be able to shift gears, and you got to shift them fast to be a judge in Stark County. Peoria County, Tazewell County, if you're a judge taking a position there, if you're in 323, you're going to be doing divorce all day. If you're in 321, you're going to be doing misdemeanors all day. But in Stark County, you need to know how to do a traffic case, but then you need to be able to switch to a probate case, open up an estate. Then you may have an adoption, a divorce case, a juvenile court matter, good old-fashioned lawsuit. You've got to have a lot of experience to be an effective Stark County Circuit Court judge and to be able to move the docket forward. And I have that experience. In addition to that, I've been a Stark County Public Defender. As with Mr. Fernbacher, I was the primary public defender for about 10 years. I still take public defender appointments in Stark County. I also take special appointments in Henry County when they have conflicts cases and they need assistance. I'm a guardian ad litem. I've been a guardian ad litem since I began my legal career, protecting the interests of children. I've continued to do that throughout, and I'm certified by the state to do so, and I've done that since the certification process was required. I've been in juvenile court. There's a lot of juvenile court cases in Stark County. I've represented a lot of people in that throughout my 20 years, both family members and children who have been victims of terrible things and neglectful circumstances. I think that's an important experience. I've also been a family law mediator, and I've been a family law mediator for 7 years. And that's ever since the 10th Circuit made it a requirement that in any case where you have a dispute regarding a child, you have to have mediation before you continue with the lawsuit. I help people that have a problem, that are on the other sides of problems, I help them determine a solution to that issue. And you're to do it fairly, and you're to do it intelligently, and you're to serve the interests of both parties to do it. I've been doing that for 7 years, and I'd like to think that I'm very good at that. On top of that, I believe that the residency requirement for circuit judge is very important. I am a lifelong resident of Stark County. My family's from here. I was born and raised here. I see people I went to high school and grade school with here tonight. I've lived not 2 or 3 blocks from here. My wife is a school teacher at Stark County Elementary. My daughter Brooke is in junior high. I am currently missing her basketball game right now. Go Lady Rebels. You go get them, 10. But the community is very important to me. My family, for generations, has lived in this county. As to my community involvement, I am the Stark County representative to Freedom House. That's a domestic violence and sexual abuse shelter in Princeton that helps people get orders of protection in Stark, Marshall, Putnam County. And I'm the Stark County representative along with Roger Hawk. I'm a member of the Stark County Education Foundation. They oversee giving out scholarships to high school students who are going to further their education, go on to college or other trade school, and I'm a member of that board. I'm member of the Lions Club, and I'm also a proud member of the Toulon Fire Department, and there are members of that fire department here tonight. And I not only live in my community, I like to think that I serve my community as well. And so is my family. For generations, my family has been involved in community service in Stark County. In 1948, my grandfather, Gene Reddick, he ran for state's attorney for the first time. And he filled that position for 6 terms. And at that time, ballot position was determined by first in line, first in right. If you showed up, you were the first candidate in line, turned in your petition, you were going to be the first person on that ballot. It's not that way, but that's the way it was in 1948. So my granddad, being my granddad, figured he was going to be first, and he was. So he got up at an indecent hour, put on the warmest gear he had. That was what was given to him by the U.S. Army during the Second World War, and he was first in line. I had a chance to follow in his footsteps. November 25th of 2013, I woke up at a decent hour. I put on the warmest gear I had, which was my bumper gear, and I stood in line. And I was the first Stark County candidate in line. I believe it's that determination, it's that dedication, it's that spirit that makes me the strongest candidate. I'd like to make my home county proud. Thank you very much.
Okay, there is a microphone there that can bring down to the agenda. First question I have is your decisions on the bench will directly affect the public safety and order in the county. How will your service on the bench promote public safety and order in the county in which you sit? We will start with Bruce Fahrenbach.
Well, it's important to hear me. As far as promoting public safety, it's important to hear the facts of the case, to take into consideration all the facts. So, I'm not exactly sure what you need as far as what actions I could take. That would be to follow the law as the law is written. Listen to the facts, listen to what people have to say and what occurred. One thing I would do is make sure that people remain safe. I would not take a risk, particularly with a child.
Move on to Robert Rennick Jr.
I think to uphold public order and public safety, you need to know the public a little bit. You need to know the pulse of your community. You need to know what needs to be done. You have to fairly and impartially apply the law. But I think being a part of the community and knowing the community certainly assists me in being able to uphold public safety and also uphold the public's confidence in an equal application of law.
Now Thomas Heath.
What I look at the most is the history of someone. I look at the recidivism rate. You have to distinguish, I believe, between those people that have made an accident, first-time offender, from those people that have a high rate of recidivism. I think that judges very well of what the probability of that person is to commit another offense. And I also look at the nature and the character of the offense. If it's a crime against the property versus a crime against the person, I'm going to judge a crime against the person at a higher degree, and I'm going to punish the person respectively. So, what you do, you look at two things, really. I think you look at the community, the impact of the community on the crime and the likelihood of the offense being repeated, and the victim. You have to consider the victim too. So I weigh those things very heavily.
Second question I have for you. Juveniles are often become entangled in the legal system. What is your philosophy for dealing with juveniles? This time I will begin with Robert Rennick Jr.
It's a very difficult balance, and I've been trying to make that balance for 20 years, both a guardian ad litem that represents children in all sorts of matters, as well as being a juvenile court, helping juveniles that are victims of terrible neglect, as well as crimes they commit. And you have to balance between sometimes what the child wants and what's best for the child. The best way to do that is really to connect with that child, to have a facility to break down a barrier. You can be a scary person to a child, and to be able to talk to that child and understand what they want and what they need. And I think that my experience, having done that throughout my 20 years of legal experience, would help me greatly.
We'll go to Thomas Keith.
When you look at juveniles, you have to, I think, divide them into different categories. You have the delinquent juvenile that has committed an offense. How do you deal with that juvenile is a little bit different than you deal in a situation where you have an abuse and neglect or some other situation like that. The abuse and neglect category could involve family situations as much as it does juvenile misbehavior. So you have to look at the facts. First thing you have to do in a juvenile situation, like you do in any case, is find the facts, find what you think is the true facts. You divide it up. If you've got a delinquency problem, you're going to deal with that juvenile a lot differently than you are if you have an abuse and neglect problem. And you're going to deal with an abuse and neglect problem a lot differently if it's the juvenile creating a problem or if it's a problem created in the house in other ways. Juvenile is a more relaxed system than the normal criminal justice system. It is a more where you can have a chance to talk with the juvenile, you have a chance to have an influence on the juvenile, have an impact on that child. It's got to be paramount, no matter what the situation.
And Bruce Fahrenbach.
First and foremost, a juvenile is a person, or a human. You need to get to know that person. Obviously, it depends on the circumstances. It depends on what the facts are in each case. So, what may work in one case may not work in another. What I would be looking for is what's the best solution for this child, for this juvenile. But you have to take into account, you have to balance community needs as well. So it's difficult to say each case this is how I would act. One thing I would always have in mind is that a juvenile is a human being that they should be considered.
Now we will entertain questions from the audience. If you have a question, raise your hand. Please stand. I would like you to state your name, ask your question, and to whom it's directed, to one particular candidate or all the candidates.
I'm Ed Semrich of Rural School Line. My question is for all three of you gentlemen. You've spoken quite a bit about dealing with children, delinquency issues, juveniles. My question would be, do you feel that in the bounds of the law and with the understanding that there are true cases where the child does need to be removed from the situation, would you lean towards the state intervening and having the responsibility of dealing with the child, or working with the family, which is the fabric of our society, to reconcile and really work to get the family back together again?
We will begin the answers with Bruce Fahrenbacher.
Thank you for the question. My first response would be to see if there's a possibility of working with them. I would prefer that solution if it's possible. But when you're talking about an abuse neglect situation, that may not be the case. Now, it may be extended family, I certainly consider that. It just depends on the facts.
Go to Robert Rennick Jr.
By the time a case gets to juvenile court, there's a real problem in the family in a lot of circumstances. A lot of times in juvenile court, the reason you have, whether it's a delinquency case or whether it's a neglect case, a lot of times there are problems in the family, and that's why it ends up in the court to begin with. Certainly, it's important for family support to be there. It would be great if there are interventions that are widely available to keep children out of juvenile court. Family is certainly one of those, but juvenile court certainly has its place.
And Thomas Keith.
What you're talking about is the termination of parental rights. I think that should be the last goal. I think the interruption of a family is about the most devastating thing you can do to the community. You have to, as a last resort to that. Now, it may mean you have to remove the child from the house for a while. You won't know what the situation is. Hypothetically, if you have one family member brutally beating a person, depends on the age of the child. All the facts drive the case, of course. But I do believe that governmental intervention in families should be very, very cautiously done. I don't think that the government should be interfering unless it is absolutely necessary.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Are there other questions from the audience? If not, we will proceed with closing statements, and we will do that in reverse ballot order. Gentlemen, I will either allow you to sit there or you may come back to the podium, your choice. Robert Rennick Jr.
It's been a long journey, been a lot of work, a lot of effort from my family. I'd like to thank my family. You don't know how many friends you have until you need them, and I found that out. I found out that I have a lot more friends in the county than maybe I even knew myself, and that's really been an enriching circumstance for me. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to be judged, so to speak, by my county and to put my record out there. Because if I didn't think my record was the strongest, I certainly wouldn't be standing here before you. I wouldn't be asking for your vote on March 18th, but I am. Because I do. I think that I have the dedication, the commitment to this community. I've got the legal experience. I'm actively involved in litigating in all areas of the law. As to my integrity, as to my suitability for this position, there are many polls. There's also one person in this county who knows better than any other my certification, my qualifications. He happens to be the former circuit judge from Stark County, Stu Borden. So if anybody has any questions about my qualifications, my integrity, my suitability, ask around. Thank you very much.
Thomas Keith.
Thank you, and thank you, Stark County leaders. Thank you, everyone, for allowing this to happen. I think it's a great opportunity for not only as candidates, but the community. You know, I lived and farmed out here for half of my life, and I went to college, and I was went to Nevada when I was 37 years old. And a gentleman once said, a wise man once said, you can't never return home. Well, I'm here to prove him wrong. And I'm going to end with what I said at the beginning. I do take my vows very seriously, and I don't take very many. And I will promise you that if you do support me, I will be independent. I will be unbiased. And I will consider each case independently, and I will do a very thoughtful decision of everything I do. Thank you very much. Thank you for your support.
And Bruce Farrington.
I thank everyone for coming out tonight. This is an important decision for the county. I believe I am the best candidate. I believe I have the experience. I believe I have the integrity. I believe I have the commitment that this county deserves as a county judge. I too, if anyone has a question, refer them to former Judge Steve Borden. He knows me, I practice in front of him. I've said it before, and I'm tired of praising him, but he was an excellent judge and national state's attorney. I want all of you to think carefully about This is your decision. You get to decide who is the Stark County Supervisor. Only the voters of Stark County will make this decision. I hope you will consider it. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Now we will hear from the candidates for County Clerk Recorder, and we will do that in ballot order. First is Rebecca Burnett. Yedna.
Hello. I'd like to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up here in Stark County. After I graduated, I joined the Air National Guard, served for 6 years. I did have a deployment overseas during Operation Enduring Freedom to Oman. I consider my military career very important. I think it's created the person that I have become today. It also provided me with plenty of opportunities, one of which was to receive my associate's degree. After I received my associate's degree, I moved back here to Stark County, obviously. And I was lucky enough to get a job at the Stark County Sheriff's Office as a correctional officer dispatcher. It was seriously one of the best jobs I've ever had. I had a great boss, great coworkers. Unfortunately, I was the low man on the totem pole, so I got stuck on swing shift, which if you work swing shift, it's seconds, it's thirds, and it's not an easy job. So the opportunity came for me to go across the street to the state's attorney's office. So I took it. I worked for him for a little over a year, mostly administrative, clerical. It was an interesting job. Gave me a chance to see the justice system at work, which a lot of people don't get to see unless you're a criminal. Then you don't want to see it. So at the time, the county had a part-time highway engineer who needed a little assistance. So he had me, the state's attorney kind of loaned me out to him, I guess you could say. So I helped him out a couple of days a week, and then when the county hired a full-time county engineer at the highway department, he recruited me to work out there full-time, and I've been out there ever since. Out there, I have a wide range of duties. I take care of anything administrative, from accounts payable, accounts receivable, payroll. I get the guys anything they need. I order culverts, fuel, signs, maintenance signs. You might have even seen me out on the road holding a stop sign, time or two. But the majority of my job there is to make sure that not only the county, but the townships stay IDOT compliant. If anybody's worked for IDOT or with IDOT, they love paperwork. So it's beginning of the year paperwork, end of the year paperwork, any kind of project they have, you have a ton of paperwork. So needless to say, don't back away from projects or anything that require a ton of paperwork. I've worked for the county for 9 years total. I love working for the county. I think that the younger generation needs to get involved more in their county government, because when they get involved, they bring change. They bring fresh ideas, they bring new ideas. And that's why I'm running for county clerk. For example, right now, the county clerk's office hires someone to come in and do a majority of the election duties, which is fine, there's nothing wrong with that. And it's probably been happening for years. I've talked to another county, it's a little larger county, and they do it all in-house. They have one woman, she takes care of it all. And I think that's something that Stark County should be striving for, because not only is it going to save time, it's going to save money, and it's going to make the office self-sufficient, which I think is really important. Another thing, if elected, that I would like to try and implement would be an active county clerk website, because nowadays when people are looking for information, that's the first place they go. They go to the website looking for that information, for forms they might need, and so if it's out there, they're going to find it. It's going to be more convenient for them, and it's going to make the county clerk's office more efficient. And I think that is one thing that's so great about living in a smaller, progressive community, that we have the desire to go after the bigger technologies, the more up-to-date programs, while being able to still provide that high level of personal customer service to anybody that walks through our door. We have the best of both worlds, and I think we should utilize them both. And progress isn't possible without change, and that's what I want to bring to the Stark County Clerk's office. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda Cranston.
I'd like to thank the Stark County News for inviting me to participate in the candidate forum. And they wanted me to make a statement of candidacy. Good evening, friends. My name is Linda Kranz Peel, and I am your Stark County Clerk. I am seeking re-election for the position that I have had for 25 years. And I urge you to get out and vote. And when you do get out and vote, would you please vote for Linda Kranz Peel? Thank you.
Okay, gentlemen, would you pass the microphone down to the two candidates? First question I have for you is, what in your opinion would be the most important aspect of your position? Linda, I will begin with you. Microphone, and you have
Okay.
1 minute to respond.
My office is more of a service office because we issue birth certificates, death certificates, marriage licenses. I'm clerk of the board. And everything is done in the office by statutes. We just charge a fee for what we have to make a certificate in our office. I'm also land records, the recorder of the office. And I just would like to continue on as your Stark County Clerk.
Thank you. Rebecca?
Obviously, so the list of all the services that county clerk's office provides, and I think our most important job would be to provide those services efficiently and make sure that we're getting the citizens of Stark County everything that they need.
I have a question for you. Do either of you have a plan to further streamline the clerk's office? And we'll start with Rebecca on that question.
Well, I think I kind of answered that in my speech. There are several ideas I have. One being the website, and also making sure that all the programs and the systems that the clerk's office does use are up to date and the most efficient ones out there.
Linda?
As your Stark County Clerk, I will continue to run the office as I have been running it. Thank you.
Now we can entertain questions from the audience. Or in the same manner as before, if you have a question, please raise your hand and stand. Ask your question and to whom you are asking either one of the candidates. Oh. Do you have any questions? Don't be afraid. Hearing none, we can go over closing statements. Would you ladies like to come to the podium, or would you like to speak from? Go in reverse ballot order, yes.
As your Stark County Clerk, I just urge everyone to get out and vote, regardless of who you vote for. It's important.
Can't argue with that. That's very true. Thank you everyone for coming and for giving us this opportunity to let you know what we're all about. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. We will continue on with candidates for county treasurer. First on the ballot is Katrina.
Well, good evening. My name is Katrina Greenberg, and I am the Stark County Treasurer. I was elected 4 years ago, so I am nearing the end of my first term in office. It's been a very successful first term. I've accomplished a lot of good things that have improved services to taxpayers and saved taxpayers money. But before I talk about those accomplishments, I'd first like to tell you just a little bit about me real quickly. I live in Wyoming with my husband Brian, who is here tonight. We have a 9-year-old daughter, Paige. She is in the 3rd grade at Stark County Elementary School. Brian and I are both very active in the Stark County community. We do a lot of volunteer work. For 6 years, I have volunteered for WYAP, that's the Wyoming Youth Athletic Program. I also volunteer for the Stark County Athletic Program, that is a combination of the Tulane Lafayette and the Wyoming Summer Ball programs. I volunteer for the Stark County Elementary School Parents Club. I volunteered for them for more than 4 years, and I volunteer at the elementary school as a room mother. I've also done quite a bit of volunteer grant writing for local organizations. I've helped them raise hundreds of thousands of dollars in equipment. That's included the Wyoming Sphere Fire Department, the Bradford Police Department, the Wyoming Police Department, and the Stark County Elementary School Parents Club. I believe community service is very important. It's actually the reason I chose the educational path that I did. I have a master's degree in public administration from the University of Illinois, and I graduated from there with honors. A master's in public administration is basically the equivalent of a master's in business administration. However, it is specific to the public sector. That is because government organizations are different from private businesses, and government money, public money, is different than private money. I have 17 years experience in government finance. During that time, I've raised more than $25 million of public funds for projects in Central Illinois, and I have managed more than $40 million of public funds. I know public money, I know government organizations, I know their reporting, I know their rules and regulations, and I have used this experience and this knowledge to make improvements within the Treasurer's office. One of the first things I did upon taking office was to take a look at the county's accounts. There were some things going on in some of the accounts that really weren't, that they shouldn't have been happening. In one account alone, I've saved more than $5,000 of funds that were being spent inappropriately. I've also cleared up our year-end financial reporting. There were some issues with our W-2s and 1099s that weren't being reported on properly. We faced the potential for some significant fines and penalties, but I have gotten those cleared up as well and eliminated that potential for fines and penalties. I have saved the county, or I've helped raise the county about $150,000 for local projects, working with the sheriff, the former county board, and a couple of local residents. I've done some grants for the restoration of the courthouse cupola. Also, we have a grant coming, $50,000, to build a new addition to the Stark County Jail that is badly needed. And I've worked with the sheriff on some grants for public safety training for his dispatchers and his deputies. I've also raised more than $10,000 in fees in my office by implementing a new fee policy for national mortgage and escrow and title companies. The previous treasurer was basically giving the information away for free. She was bringing in about $250 to $300 a year. I now bring in over $3,500 a year, and that is in accordance with state statute. I have used that money to offset personnel expenses within the treasurer's office. I also have implemented a property tax trustee program that is at no cost to the county, but it has helped us bring in, it has helped us recover unpaid property taxes, money that previous treasurers were allowing to just go unpaid. That has brought in several $1,000s as well. I have also improved services to taxpayers. I've made it a lot easier to pay your taxes. Nobody likes to pay those property taxes. I don't like to write that check every year. It's not a fun one to write. But I've tried to make it as easy on people as possible. I've implemented online payments for property taxes, something the previous treasurer said couldn't be done, but I had that implemented within my first 6 months in office. So you can now pay online with a credit or a debit card. This year we will also have a new drop box at the courthouse, so if you can't make it in during office hours, you don't want to mail in your payment, you can leave it in a secure drop box at the courthouse. And I also have a pilot program at the State Bank of Spear that I've had going for 3 years now, where you can actually pay your property taxes at the bank. They will take the money straight out of your checking or savings account and they will put it directly into our property tax account. That is a huge convenience for our taxpayers who bank the State Bank of Spear. They absolutely love that program. Okay, we're getting close here. I have not expanded that to the other banks in the county because we wanted to work out all the kinks and make sure everything was running smoothly. But that is something that in my second term I plan to do. I do plan to expand that to the remaining banks in the county. Okay, I'm out of time. Well, I just would say that 4 years ago, Stark County trusted me with their votes. I took that trust very, very seriously. I worked very hard these past 4 years to do a good job on behalf of taxpayers. I love this job very much. It's very important to me and to my family. It keeps me close to my daughter, and I just ask you for your support on March 18th. Thank you.
Irma Holmes.
Good evening. It's nice to have an opportunity to meet some of you and let you meet me and know what I'm all about. I was born and raised in Stark County, and I was educated in Stark County schools, graduated from Wyoming High School. I live in Lafayette currently. I have an adult son who lives in Lexington, Kentucky. His name is Jim Mayer. I do have a strong, diverse business background. I started out in business shortly after high school. I worked at Alcoa in Princeville, Illinois. And what I did there was I did purchasing and I did sales. The sales escalated me to a position and they asked me to transfer into Ohio. So I thought, okay, this is an opportunity for a small town girl, let's go get them. So I moved to Ohio with my son, and I became a credit manager there of a $45 million division for Alcoa, and managing the funds, collecting the money, extending to different businesses. That was a successful venture for me as well, and then I was recruited as a manager for GTE sales in Lexington, Kentucky, and that's how my son has ended up staying in Lexington, Kentucky at this time. He went to college there and everything. But in Lexington, I did do related with accounts. I was doing some advertising and everything for GTE. I had a lot of business experience with various types of businesses and getting them to develop their programs and what they needed to promote their business. So I was promoting them and they were helping promote me because then I was soon recruited once again. And I relocated to do Discover Card services in Iowa. That brought me closer home, which I enjoyed. And at that time that I was in Iowa and I traveled extensively to the different businesses and managed their advertising accounts and things like that, their merchant accounts as well. And it was at that time that I was in Iowa that I saw that I wanted to do something even a little bit more. So I decided to go back to school. It gave me an opportunity that once I had my son through school, this was an opportunity for me to go back to school and get my education. So I went back to school and I was in Buena Vista University. I graduated summa cum laude with a business degree for business administration. I catapulted that into a pharmaceutical sales position because that's what was required of me. I needed to step up to do something that would cause me to do more and help more people. Pharmaceutical sales was an interesting position for me. I enjoyed with the doctors talking to the patients, different ones on the different therapies and what I could do for them. It was during that particular time that my mother became ill, and it was in her last days that I was able to be in a position to come back home to Stark County and take care of her. That's when I realized once again what it means to be a part of a family-oriented small community. People know, people care, and they want to reach out and they want to help each other. And that's what I want to do by running for Stark County Treasurer. Because I understand the community, I'm a part of it, I participate in it, I grew up here, my heart is here. And I'm a people person, I want to help in any way that I can to make us not only good, but great.
Ladies, I will ask you the same question I asked the clerk reporter. What, in your opinion, will be the most important aspect of your position?
Well,
I believe the most important aspect of the treasurer's position is to manage that money well, obviously. It is public money. It is your money that has come directly out of your pockets through taxes. And we need someone in that position who's going to protect it, who's going to make sure that it's being spent appropriately. And who knows government money, knows government rules and regulations, and who's going to manage it well.
Thank you. Verna Holmes.
I believe that with being a local person, understanding the community, being part of the community, spending my money in the community, and having the diverse background in banking as well as credit management and things like that, I am aware of the importance of applying things in the proper place at the proper time. And also what it means to us as citizens giving up that money and where it's going and being held accountable for how that is being spent. I'm capable of doing that. I've managed other companies' monies. I will manage this money as if it is ours and put it to the best use into the places it needs to go for the citizens of Stark County.
Thank you. The other question is, do you have any plans to make the office more efficient? And I will go to Verna again.
I believe efficiency is very important. I believe I'm capable of making it efficient in the manners of, I would need to be in the office, obviously, to understand exactly where those things could go. One thing that I do know that's quite simple is as far as depository type things, when the money comes in, the money needs to be placed in a place where it can earn interest or do something like that. My current position, I make sure that we take advantage of any kind of discounts or any kind of interest or anything that we can do. And I would do that for the citizens of Stark County and protect the money and let be open about whatever needs to happen and entertain any ideas of improvements that they feel that I would need to address. I would be happy to address them.
Thank you. Katrina.
Yes, I actually do have a number of things that I'm working on to make the office more efficient. As I mentioned, I would like to expand the pilot program that we've got with growing the state Bakersfield to the remaining banks in the county so that that is available to taxpayers throughout the county, not just customers of Bakersfield. I also am working with our auditor and deputy treasurer. The county currently has more than 40 different separate accounts. It's crazy because there are so many different accounts for the sheriff's department, the circuit clerk, the county clerk, the highway department, where there are all these different funds that have to be kept separately. I'm working with the auditor to try to figure out how we can condense some of those accounts because that is, every month, that is 40 months of, or that is 40 accounts of reconciling bank statements. It is really, it's very inefficient the way it is now. So I'm working with the auditor to try to figure out how we can stay within state statute, complying with the various accounts. Some of them have to stay separate, some of them can be combined, to figure out how we can make our management more efficient. I'm also working with our auditor to find a new software provider for our financial software to update what we've got in the office.
Thank you. Now we will take questions from the audience. Anyone has one? Please stand.
I'll
Thank you.
go again. This is Ed Stenbridge again. Mrs. Reavers, you mentioned that you're doing quite a bit of work in seeking grants and fundraising. It sounds like you've been very successful in that. As you've done that, have you looked more for private funds for that or state and federal funds, and why?
My large experience has been with state and federal funds because that's where the big dollars are. So over my 17 years of grant writing and government finance, that's just where the big money is. So for the big projects, that's where we tended to look. But I have done quite a bit of private as well. Within Stark County, we've actually had equally half and half of both. The $50,000 we have coming for the addition to the jail is a state grant that I work with the sheriff on. But we have a $40,000 grant that we received from the Landmark Foundation in Chicago. That was for the Cupola Restoration Project, so that was a private grant. So yes, I have experience actually on both sides, and we do seek both avenues of funding.
Would you have a preference one way or the other?
Well, state and federal are great because they tend to be large chunks of money, but they can be problematic because they have a lot of rules and a lot of regulations, a lot of stipulations on how to run that money, whereas private foundation money tends to be much easier to spend. So personally, if I had a preference, Absolutely, we go private every time just because they tend to be a lot easier.
If someone would like to ask the same question. Just as far as seeking funding, we can prefer private or state federal funding. Do you have a preference?
Once I would be aware more of the parameters within those two funds, I think I'm trying to have a balance of that too, so that you aren't too heavily in one way or the other, so that you can balance that out should something change or if there would be a shift in some of that, those monies, then you have a level that you can, maintain regardless of whether it is private.
Other questions? Ladies, I will give you your choice of either coming back to the podium or sharing the microphone at the table. We will do that in reverse order for a 2-minute closing statement.
Who goes first?
Reverse ballot order.
I welcome the opportunity to get back to my community that I grew up in, that I came back home to. I seem to thrive here. I want to help everyone else thrive. My mother was always one to say, go out and do what's right. Because doing what is right is the right thing to do. So I guess I'm asking you as voters to have confidence in me that I will do the right thing. And I'm asking you, if you're in agreement with that, vote for me on March 18th. And together, we're going to go through good.
Well, I guess I would just say, I've worked very hard these last 4 years. I think I have demonstrated what a good job I've done. And please don't take my word for it. Ask the former county board. There was a county board that was in place when I took office. They know what the treasurer's office was like before I was there. They know what it's like now. They've seen the good changes I've made. So please don't just take my word for it. Ask those former county board members because they know what a good job I've done. I have more good things to do. I love this job. I've worked very hard at it, and I just ask you to support me on March 18th. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will hear from the candidates for Stark County Board in District 1. First is Colleen Magnuson.
Good evening. My speech today is going to be relaxed and it's going to be all about my board. I love serving on the Stark County Board. The first 2 years I served, Mike Bigger was our great leader, and I was learning. So I was quiet and taking it in and learning from our great leader. And then about a year ago, I think it was a year ago, I was elected chairman. So I thought, okay, I got to figure this out. What is going to be my focus? Because whenever I'm involved in something, I have to be doing something in progress. So I took 4 or 5 of our board members and I went up to Dixon, Illinois. UCCI is an organization that supports county governments, and they put on a education day for new county board members. And it was a morning session, and we got lots of information, how to run a board meeting, just all kinds of things. But when I left there that morning, driving home, I thought, aha, I figured it out. One thing they said that stuck with my mind is the main responsibility of a county board member is the financial condition of the county. So really, if we can't get that right, nothing else matters. And that's been my focus, and we all know it's no secret we're struggling. But I'm here to be positive tonight. I'm proud of the progress our board's made on this point. I wrote down this quote because I thought I'm gonna need it sometime. At our last audit, Ron Hilton, our auditor, stated, due to the passing of the public safety tax, and thank you to Mike Bigger for working tirelessly on that, and thank you for the public for passing that, because I really don't know where we'd be if we didn't have that. We really needed that. Due to the passing of the public safety tax and the county board keeping a close eye on expenses, Stark County's financial outlook continues to improve, and it does. Katrina's told us that, not till April, tax participation warrants, that's huge, because she used to have to borrow, and we started having to borrow the first day of the fiscal year. And now we're looking at it till April, so that's great. And, every month, Mr. Mueller, he tirelessly looks over the bills. We are managing our resources as conservatively we can. He looks over the bills, and every month he says, guys, I'm sorry, but the majority of these things, we just don't have any control of. And the jail is a huge expense, and we can't help it. I mean, we have to have a jail. So we're doing good, we're trying. I hope within the next 3 to 4 years, we might be seeing our way out of this. Our sales tax looks a lot better than, at the end of our fiscal year, it looked really good. We think we had a really good year last year. Ron Hilt's starting to do our audit. So far this year, our sales tax looks good, our public safety tax looks good. So, I mean, the economy and those things are good, and we're watching the expenses. I'm glad that we got the thing with Marshall County settled. They're gonna be the lead grantee, which is great, because we weren't in a position that IDOT came up with a new position that we had to fund, and they're gonna do it. And I believe in public transportation for our senior citizens, so I'm very glad that Marshall County's agreed to do this. I'm just gonna say, I love working on the Stark County Board. I'm gonna continue to work hard with my fellow board members to move Stark County to financial solvency. I think the Stark County Board is doing a tremendous job in being conservative, managing the resources we have. I thank you for your continued support. I look forward to serving for another 4 years, and please vote on March 18th for everybody. I hope I didn't miss anything. Thank you. Thank you.
Now Thomas Miles.
Hi, my name is Tom House. I think most of you know who I am. I live over about 2.5 miles south of Bradford on Route 40, and I'm candidate for county board in District 1. I served 9 years previously, and then when Mr. St. John resigned and moved away, I was reassigned, and I was asked to be back on board, and I had filed a petition to run for county board, so it just fell right in, and here I am. I'm also a trustee in Penn Township, and for those of you who wonder, I asked my board what they felt like out in Penn Township about me sitting on the county board, and they were extremely happy because they saw it as a conduit to get from township government to county government and to find out more about what's going on. Real quick, I worked at CAT 36 years. I was in law enforcement, volunteer fireman. I've done a lot of that. But I was appointed to the county board in 2003 to fill a vacancy. And I was the chairman of the Public Works Committee and the Judicial Committee. In my 9 years on the board, we sold the landfill, we bought the wind farms in, and that's from the ground to finish to making electricity. This included highway negotiations, and again, I want you all to understand that Mike Bader was the county chairman, Mr. Owens, Debbie Duncan. This thing was a tireless thing. It was like a great huge dog biting us all the way down because we didn't have any idea where we were going or what we were going to do. And we worked our way through it. And when we're talking about money, the building fees from that alone brought in $263,000, if I remember correctly. And between that and the fact we sold the landfill, I believe that was around $130,000. We staved off bankruptcy, to be very honest with you. We were loaned an enterprise zone by Marshall County, and for those of you who don't know, understand that. They have 15 miles of it. It goes from enterprise to enterprise, and it relieves the business in that enterprise of paying sales tax on things that they buy infrastructure with. And they loaned that to us, so we were extremely lucky. There was some criticism of that here in Stark County when we first got it, and they were afraid we were going to lose tax dollars, sales tax. But when we looked at it, the only sales tax dollars we lost was the ice and water that Mr. Giebler sold to the construction company that built the windmill. So we were very fortunate. The roads have been put back, and most of that's been taken care of. There's a plan to take it apart if it ever ceases to function. And we have 40 towers in Penn Township. So what you understand is that 65% of our money goes to public education. So 65% of $13,500 off of every one of those towers, which is what they're taxed at every year, comes back to the public school system. That's $9,000 a megawatt. Let's see here. And it really has helped us. That amount will depreciate a little bit each year due to the depreciation of the windmills in the businesses. I want to tell you that none of that would have been possible without the people on the county board being able to work together and get along. And I'm not going to tell you that it's always easy. You know, the new things are introduced. We have to work our way through them. Some of them are really, what should I say, emotional things. And tempers can get up there pretty good before it's over with. But the one thing I can say to you in all honesty is, and the entire time I've served on this board, and it will soon be 10 years, I've never seen anybody, after an issue was settled and set aside, ever said, I'm not going to vote for something that you need or want or whatever because you didn't vote for something that I needed or wanted before. Doesn't make any difference if you're Republican or Democrat. The people who sit on that board do it well. I'm now assigned to the economic development situation. I was public works chairman. While I was there, we put a new elevator in the courthouse. I was really privileged to work with Sheriff Dyson because he is, in fact, in charge of all your public buildings and grounds and everything. And he did a wonderful job. I think we're extremely fortunate to have the elected officials that we do. I'm glad to see that we have young people who are coming out here, taking a look at what they want to do and where they're going to go. And I think that we really are fortunate in this county to have the board and the people to work with. It's been a pleasure to work with Colleen, and it's been a pleasure to work with the other people. The vice chairman's Mr. Mueller. He's a Democrat, you know, but you know, we have to make allowances somewhere along the way. And I really want to say that Mr. Lonnie Wilson's here tonight. He's our new economic director, along with Denny Rewerts and Mr. Mueller. And it's been a real enjoyable situation. And they've included me, taking me along, you know, sit, stay, heal, whatever necessary. You know, the one thing that I am proud of is that I am one of only 150 people who graduated from the University of Illinois Springfield's Government Leadership Academy through UCCI. And that was all done at no cost to Stark County or anybody else. Thank you.
Thank you. As a county board member, how would you seek to improve the county? And we can start with Colleen.
Well, I think that we have to get Stark County to financial solvency. That's our big issue right now. There's a lot of other things we can do as far. I think the main thing is we got to get our budget. We've been passing balanced budgets. It's looking good. To improve the county through the road infrastructure, I think we're doing the best we can. I think our hands are tied in a lot of the resources we have, but our main focus has to be on the financial condition of the county right
now. One of the things that I think we really need to take a look at, and that is this economic development. We don't have manufacturing here. We need to really work at doing that. Economic development is looking at ag tourism. We're looking at expanding the bicycle route that goes through here in the summer and enticing those people to come and stay with us and do some of these things. But absolutely positively, business. We need business, and we need to look at housing because we're going to need the housing for young people to live in, and we're going to need young people who make little young people because we need those things in the schools. We really, really do. It's extremely important. And I think we just all have to work together. What I'd really like to say is I appreciate seeing every one of you here tonight. And the worst thing that happened to me in the last 2 years is when I checked in Penn Township the last time we had a primary election, and only 18 people had voted by noon. Try these people out of their houses. They can vote early. They can do whatever it takes. But we have to get out and vote, because if we don't vote, the folks that represent us are not going to come down.
I was just gonna say that I'm really excited. Vinnie Reworks has been doing a great job at economic development, but Lonnie Wilson has come on board, and I'm really excited about that. He has lots of new ideas. And we have an economic development team that the county board supports financially, the banks support, the city of Wyoming, and the city of Bradford, and they do an excellent job. We have an excellent economic development team.
We have questions from the audience. Okay, I will give you your choice for a closing statement to sit where you are or come back to the podium. And we will do that in reverse ballot order, and we will start with Mr. Howes.
Again, we'd like to thank all of you for coming. I would be very humbled if you did elect me to sit on your county board in this time, because I found it a privilege. I found my way to Springfield many times to represent us down there and find out what we can get and who we can talk to. We've been fortunate to have these people come back. I'll just cite you a real quick example. When Don Moffett introduced Senator Kirk here 2 years ago before he had his stroke, he said, "You folks understand that the last sitting United States Senator that addressed Stark County was Abraham Lincoln and Stephen A. Douglas when they had the debate down in the courthouse lawn." And again, he came back in the middle of that snowstorm a couple of weeks ago, and we had other dignitaries here. We had 3 of the 4 Republican candidates here. What I'm saying to you is, you need to come out and vote, and it's really important that you look at these people, and we appreciate somebody back there.
I'd just like to say again, I will continue working with my fellow board members to move Stark County to financial solvency. Improving the financial condition of Stark County is my top priority. I'm asking for your vote on March 18th. I'm looking forward to serving another 4 years, and I appreciate your support.
Thank you. So candidates, I want to express my grateful appreciation to each of you for participating. We have some tough decisions made here. Audience, you will have to decide who's going to represent the Republican Party on the November ballot. The primary election is March 18th, and absentee voting has already started, so please, please exercise your right to vote. We invite you to stay following the forum and continue conversations with our candidates. Thank you and good evening.